to the last day of African American History Month. Sad day. Well, pre-sad day. 'Cause tomorrow's a sad day. But me personally, I like to celebrate African American history or Black History Month all year long. So it's always Black History for me. So as always, in the beginning of the show, I'm going to give you some history moments, some Black sports history moments. And these are a couple that I found that were interesting. But, I always find them interesting because it's my history. So, here we go. A gentleman named Fritz Pollard, full name Frederick Fritz Pollard, was the first African American coach in the NFL way back in 1921. Amazing that no one ever talks about that. And I'm sure a lot of people listening probably never knew that. It was a little surprising to me, so I figured I would add it in to give some knowledge that I learned earlier today. The second one I have for you today is Charlie Seifert. Charlie Seifert was the first African American to break the color barrier in golf. He started out as a caddy, and he was invited to the 1952 PGA event, which was his first event. Although he did not participate due to threats and racial abuse. Later on in 1961, he became an official member of the PGA and ultimately won 2 official money events in that same year. So there you have it, folks. Charlie Seifert, first to break the color barrier in golf, PGA, and Mr. Frederick Fritz Pollard, the first African American head coach in the NFL. And that is your history moment for today. So, if you have not been following, if you've been in a cave, whatever, got a lot to get to today. We got some NBA, definitely got some Sixers, and I'm going to talk about that Nerlens Noel trade because I've been explaining it or trying to explain it the best I can to people for about a week or so. It feels like, if not, I don't know the exact that, but whenever that trade happened, 6 days ago, whatever, I've been trying to explain it to get people to understand it since then. We are also going to talk some AAU basketball. If you do remember last week, there were comments made by Kevin Garnett in reference to how the AAU game is destroying or putting a damper on basketball as we know it today. So we will get to that. And then we're going to touch on a little bit of the NCAA. March is a couple days away. Tournament selection show is March the 12th. Your SportsRap crew will be hosting a March Madness NCAA tournament roundtable on Monday following the selection show. We got games coming up that Tuesday, the first 4. So I've got some guys coming. Got some people coming. I think I picked a good group to be on the panel. So you have to stay tuned and tune in on March the 13th to get all of that information. Now, phone lines are open. 267-368-5328. Now, as we know, the Philadelphia 76ers made a trade. They traded Nerlens Noel to the Dallas Mavericks for Justin Anderson, Andrew Bogut, a top 18 protected first round pick that can and likely will turn into 2 second round picks next year. Okay, so they got some assets. Justin Anderson, I don't know. He hasn't played a lot. I don't know a whole lot about him, so I hear he's okay. But with this trade initially, and before I continue, Andrew Bogut is expected to be bought out by the end of this week. So, with that being said, you know, I'm a little confused now as to what direction the Sixers are going. Uh, I kind of saw a little bit of something when they were doing the trade talks with Okafor, but I understand how that fizzled out. Now, getting into this Nerlens Noel trade, I have to premise this by saying, people, fans, listeners, social media followers, you have to take your fan hat off for a second and think like a businessman or businesswoman, think like a business person, a owner, a general manager of a multi-billion-dollar franchise in a multi-billion-dollar sport, the NBA. You're the GM of a franchise. Now, the situation becomes Nerlens Noel, the last year of his contract, will be a restricted free agent at the end of the season. Okay. That meaning he can test the waters in free agency. And him being a previous member on the Sixers roster, the Sixers organization would have every opportunity to match the offer and keep their player, or if they chose not to let him go and sign with whatever team gave him the contract which he desires. So we already understand that he's already felt like he should be playing more. He felt like he's better than the way he was being used here in Philadelphia. So the question now becomes, what kind of contract does he think he's going to get? What kind of noise is he going to make, him and his agent? So it's projected that at his position, his age, his agent now is going to ask, and with the salary cap ballooning, they're probably going to ask for something in that 12 to 15, maybe a little bit higher per year, per season. Okay. Now I ask you, and I want you to listen to me carefully, people, and I want you to call in again, 267-368-5328 when I'm done. Ask me questions if you don't understand. Give me your comments if you don't agree with what I said. Now, getting back into it, he's going to ask for somewhere between 12 to 18, 16 to 18 million, in that range. I have two questions. Has he proven to you, and this is you thinking as a GM of a team, has he proven to you that he has improved his game, his skill set to get better, to warrant that? Second question, you have Joel Embiid, who is your starter. So if Noel stays, he's going to be the backup. And that was the case with either one, him or Okafor. Whoever stays is going to be the backup five to Joel Embiid. Are you going to pay somebody 15? Let's say he gets offered that 15, 16, 17 range. Are you really going to have that kind of money coming off of your bench? Talk to me, people. I know me, if I'm the GM, I'm not doing that. Okay. Start with the second, working my way back. As a GM, I'm not going to have that kind of money coming off my bench. If I'm paying a player 15 to 16 mil, maybe a little bit higher a season, he is either a starter or he is my sixth man. He's definitely heavy minutes in the rotation. Okay. Second, again, working my way backwards, he has not proven that he's worthy of that kind of money, in my opinion. He has not improved his skill set from year one, year two, because he's in his third year now. He's still the same player that he was when he came into the league. He hasn't improved much any. Now, what people should be mad at, and you can call me on this too, people should be mad or upset because the trade happened this year. You should be upset that he didn't get traded last year, when there was a higher value for him. And I understand that's what a lot of the fans, a lot of people are upset about, or disturbed about what we got back. But that's the problem that you have. And it goes back to what I said about that restricted free agent tag. The Sixers are not going to pay him that kind of money when they already know in their mind, if he stays here, he's our backup five. He's our backup center. We're not paying him 16 million a year to come off the bench. We're not doing that. So that was their reason for trading him. But you should be upset not with what they got in return. You should be upset that it took them so long to make this trade. You should also be upset that there was no Okafor trade, because when it comes, it's going to be something similar. Mark my words, people. Unless they do it on draft day and use some of these draft picks that they have for leverage and packages. And at the point now, it may even come to adding a player from the roster now into that deal. But I pose another question. On the Sixers roster right now, you take that roster and you look at their roster. Going on a limb maybe, but anything that's enticing to another team is part of the Sixers plan, their process. So, for lack of a better word, you could say that they're untouchable. So, outside of the process himself, Ben Simmons, yeah, you noticed I paused there, and that's about the size of it. Anybody else could be packaged in the deal, but the problem is those guys don't jump out at you like, yeah, okay, if you throw him in, all right, we gonna up this ante, we gonna take that deal. They don't jump out at you like that. So the Sixers have their work cut out for them, and it's going to be tough. Believe it or not, it's going to be tough. But people, you have to be patient. And I know I say this every week, and you've been hearing it for the past 4 or 5 years now. It's going to take time. Like you have to understand that these kinds of things don't happen overnight. And I was talking to someone the day before yesterday, Saturday, and we were talking, and we were like, Hinkie is getting a little bit of praise for what's going on with the assets, but look on if you turn that card over and you look on the flip side, he's also the reason you're in this predicament. You drafted 3 centers in a row when you had high lottery picks, and you drafted 3 centers. I mean, in one you even made a trade up to get, and that's the one that just is gone now. He was the last part of the original beginning of the process, and now he's gone. I don't know, folks. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a bumpy road, but you have to take into consideration that the team, the group of guys that they have now, are playing a lot better than you have seen in the past 2 years. There are some pieces there, like I love what Saric is doing. There are some pieces there. It's just a matter of getting the other parts to come in and beating this injury bug. So you have to be patient. It's going to turn around. I'm a fan. I'm a diehard fan. I'm not jumping ship. I am staying the course. So again, folks, I'm going to take a quick break, but get your thoughts together. Give me about 3-4 minutes, maybe 5. Phone lines will be back open. 267-368-5328. Call me up. Talk to me. Let me know what you feel. I just gave you my take on the Nerlens Noel trade. If you got any comments and concerns or issues with what I said, how I explained it, you want to ask me any questions about it, call me up. Give me a few minutes. Take a quick break. You're listening to Sports Rap, Heat 100 Radio. Stay tuned.